Hello, Goddess. This is Andrea with You Are Mind, Body, Soul. And in this space, I guide goddesses to bridge the mind, body, and soul through psychosomatic education, consciousness reconditioning, as well as alchemy and energetics. Thank you so much for joining us in these tribe vibes today. It feels so good to be here in this incredibly beautiful, delicious month of expansion as Pluto has entered into the age of Aquarius. What better time to talk about the collective feminine consciousness as well as feminine energy and how those are deeply intertwined? Where I'm at right now, I'm in a space where I am being very intentional about the nature of the relationships that I want around me. And so I wanted to share a bit about what my experience has been like having elevated sisterhoods in my life and the importance of those things. So before we get too deeply into this topic, I want to remind you to please like this video so that the algorithm can do its magical, mysterious thing. Please remember to share and subscribe. And apparently, you have to hit a notification bell in order to be updated when I drop these videos on Monday. So, if you could do that, I would appreciate it so much. So, let's get into it. Now, the first question that we're going to go over is why are elevated sisterhoods so important, especially in the times that we live in? The energy of being a part of any kind of collective is going to give you the opportunity to magnify and to enhance whatever the present vibration is that you are holding together. So what do I mean? When two or more people come together with similar intentions, it is going to serve as a magnification of the energy that each of you individually bring. So there is the individual energy that you bring, and then there is the collective energy that is then amplified by the union of your presence. And this presence, ideally, it would be in person. However, of course, again, living in the age of Aquarius and respecting the advent of technology and what that is doing for our lives, of course, having these remote relationships are also valuable. But the point is that we want to be having these elevated sisterhoods and these connections so that we can feel seen and so that we can feel heard as we go through our evolution as women. Since the dawn of time, women have gathered in collectives, and especially further back in our history, deeper into the ancient histories, when we gathered together, there was sacred significances of these gatherings. So whether it was to get together and to take a look into the future of what was happening collectively for that tribe or that community, there was a sacred purpose, or whether women were getting together in order to go through their moon cycles together and to find that connection. There is something that is so deeply intrinsically related to femininity and us having wombs and being connected with the rhythms of the earth, the magnetism of the frequency of the blood that we have running through us, the energy DNA signatures that we have in our mitochondria, the magnetism of the womb cycles. In those cycles, when we come together, there is a natural magic that happens through those connections. And so as women, because we are so integral and what is actually created on this earth, what is being brought in to the earth, it's important for us to get together and to have those resonances. So, like when you have your sister friends, when you are seeing each other frequently and you start to link up, that type of thing, when your cycles start to link up, there is just this energy of significance. And I feel like somehow we have lost that. And the times in my life where I have felt the most afraid, the most alone, this was something that was sorely missing for me. And when I really started to focus in on these things, the quality of my life changed. So give me one moment because I do have a little distraction happening over here. Okay, so let me check my notes here. So it's really important for us to use these sisterhoods to overcome, number one, to overcome the wounds that we have in our collective consciousness, which we're going to talk about. And it's also important to then step into the next phase of our evolution to align with the desires that we have, because the womb itself is a portal. And through this portal, we bring in lives into this world. We bring in creative energy into this world. The feminine signature on the planet is what keeps this thing moving. Mother Earth and feminine energy are direct reflections of one another. And when we have a web there, so if you imagine being in a circle of women, it's like being connected to a web, and each woman that shows up in that circle and in that group is like a different point on the web. And when you have a healthy web, a strong web, there is a security for the planet. There is a security for the community. There is a security for the children, and there is a security that strengthens each of the women that are involved in that circle's intentions and their signature on this planet. So it's just very important. In my experience, I have experienced sisterhoods from the space of being a student as well as a teacher. So years ago, when I was doing my life coaching internship, my original life coaching internship, not only was I one-on-one with my coach, but I was also involved in this sacred community of women who were all setting intentions for this 1 year cycle that we went through. And our intentions were to see major shifts in our lives and to get the healing that we each as an individual needed. And then when we came together for our retreat, we went on a retreat and we were in circles. What we began to realize is that as we were sitting in circles and we were looking at one another's reflections and looking in each other's eyes, listening to each other's stories, what I realized was that if there was a woman sitting to my left or in front of me, she was a reflection of either something that I had experienced and overcame in the past, or something that I could look forward to in the future. So I was able just to share and to listen and to learn from these women's past experiences. And instead of having to go out and make the same mistakes or to not be prepared for occurrences of the future, I could learn from these women and I could expedite my growth and my evolution just by recognizing that this is a past tense reflection of myself that I'm sitting in front of. And then in some instances, there were women that were sitting around me who had positive things that were happening for them. And I could sit And I could look at this woman and I could feel the vibrational significance of where I am going and cheer her on and be happy for her and know that as I am cheering her on, that I am also cheering on a future version of myself. So what happens is there is an amplification of a space-time continuum, because we think of time as being linear, right? So there's always past, present, and future. But when you sit in a circle, also known as a womb, okay, you are able to take time and take it from a linear left to right perspective, and you can really speed up your healing in that moment if you're really using the power of sisterhood. This is what it is really about. It's about actually transcending time. And it's about doing the work, the healing work on your past. And it's about expediting the transformative desires of your future in that moment when you are in these circles. So this is what I have experienced as a student in these circles, and as a teacher holding space in these circles, I have also experienced similar things. So the circles that I have held in the past in person, when I originally got started as a coach, the majority of my work was group oriented. So now I'm primarily focused on one-on-one interactions and support. But when I originally got started with coaching, I was facilitating for groups of women. And what I found was, as I was facilitating these circles and these rites of passages for groups of women, it was like we were really able to like jump through timelines and really speed up the results of whatever it was we were desiring. So it's just been really powerful. And another thing that I found from holding these circles, womb circles, so most of my work was womb based. It was womb based and it was energy based when I really first got started several years ago. Okay, so in these group settings, and there was so much that was unblocked in the womb from, again, that web-like connection that we were amplifying in those experiences. It is just, it's almost hard to explain. Like, you would have to be there to really understand what I'm talking about, unless you have experienced this type of group work before, where you are being heard, you are listening, you are feeling, you are moving, and you are really a part of that present vibration. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you are feeling this information so far. Share this with a goddess sister of yours. Share this with someone that needs to hear about elevated sisterhoods. Okay, so when we are in groups, there are always going to be questions that you have or questions that someone else has that you can find the answer to in these groups, right? So it's not even always the facilitator, I've found, that will give the answers, where the answers come from. Okay. And then also you will see parallel situations. So you may be on the verge of taking a step in your life where you feel a lot of reticence and trepidation about, and you could be sitting across from a woman that just went through that same experience. And so it's just so powerfully reaffirming for you. Okay. And before I go on, I want to make an announcement. Thank you so much if you're still on the video so far, that my sister, my goddess sisters, and I, we are actually hosting a retreat in Cape Cod, Massachusetts on the 7th, 8th, and 9th of June in the gorgeous, gorgeous beach town of the Cape. Okay, so it's going to be on a private property where we have several cottages to choose from. There's going to be a lot of great food, and we are really going to be doing a lot of inner work surrounding the Sisterhood Collective, feminine energy. There's going to be some incredible movement workshops. There are tons of workshops that we're going to be doing, as well as one-on-one things that we will each be facilitating. It's all inclusive, and there's also going to be a ton of goodies involved. So if you live anywhere in the area, check out the link and you can email me to go ahead and secure your deposit, because the tickets are selling fast and our deadline for sign up is going to be in March. So check that out if you are interested in really experiencing what I am talking about in this video. Okay, so developing your own personal elevated sisterhood, what you want to start with is your personal identity. Okay, so how you are seeing yourself and what are your beliefs surrounding who you are? Because the beliefs surrounding who you are going to be one of the fundamental start points for who you are attracting into your life. So the way that you see yourself, if you see yourself as someone that is worthy of having friendships with elevated company, then you are going to be okay with attracting those things. So you want to start with, how are you seeing yourself? Am I worthy of having friends that actually care about me and pour into me? Or do I need friendships where I am always the one that is giving? Like, are you energetically current and prepared to receive the benefits of being a part of a healthy sisterhood and having that reflection? Because when you are in an elevated sisterhood, it can be triggering. You know that you are in an elevated sisterhood when you are actually being triggered by those people in ways that make you grow. So, elevated sisterhood is meant to challenge the boundaries of your assumptions about what you deserve and what your power is and who you are. And this is what I have found about these sisterhood connections. So, understanding who you are so that you can really start to resonate with who it is you want to surround yourself with. Because the easiest way to manifest elevated sisters is by coming closer to the alignment with that thing, feeling that you are that person in that thing, and not just coming from a sense of admiration. So the video that I did on becoming the most confident version of yourself is a really great video where I talk about, being prepared to absorb the qualities for ourselves and adopting that into our identity, rather than focusing on the awe and focusing on what you perceive as the distance between that person that you admire and who you get the opportunity to be. That is a very great video to help to prime you to begin to attract elevated sisterhoods into your life. I like to be, so this year, one of the things that I have been doing, because I really want to focus more on this elevated sisterhood, and that is why the retreat has come into my life. That's why I've talked in other videos about the types of friends that I want to manifest, because in previous years I've been doing so much inner work surrounding the foundational things, which inner work is something that is an ongoing process. That is the shadow work. There's several kinds of inner works. And if you're interested in learning more about that, you can check out the website ymbs.co and look at the courses, which I'm probably going to be restructuring the Goddess Mystery Academy in there. But for inner work, you can take a look at those courses. But I've been really focusing over several years, because inner work is an ongoing thing, because life is ever changing and evolving. And we are always adapting our consciousness to expand and to fit in higher circumstances. Because as you grow in your identity and your self perception, your whole world grows around you. And so it's always a dynamic shift, a dynamic change. And so I've really been focused on my personal journey and my personal identity, especially being a very insular person, balanced in masculine, feminine energy, and divine energy, and deeply focused and integrated with what it is I am creating. So this year, because I have come to a certain level with my identity and with my inner work, what I really, what my soul really has desired is to start to see those reflections surrounding me, to start to have particular reflections of women that want a relationship that is founded on authentically authentically aligning with what they know that they are deserving of, which is what my whole focus in life is, which is why I'm a life coach, which is why I do these videos, because I want to be in alignment with those things. And so now my soul has requested, it's like a request, like a divine request that my soul has given me, is to be around more souls that are like that. And so immediately life manifested me my sisters that I'm doing the retreat with, and it has just been it's been a really beautiful experience. So being very specific about the friends that you want to manifest, and one of my manifestation techniques that I've been using is a dream board, a vision board. So I have electronic dream boards that I actually use an app for, or you can go old school and you can get the magazine cutouts, or print things from online. That's a whole nother video. Or you can simply start with a love list. So I learned this concept called a love list, where you actually write down specifically what you're trying to manifest and what that looks like. And one of the things that I have learned about creating a love list, so let's say we're talking about friendship, for example, okay? And I'm making a love list to manifest a friend. So you can make a love list to manifest a move somewhere new, to manifest a new career. So in this instance, I'm doing a love list of friends, right? So let's say I make a love list where I have specific kinds of pockets of friends that I want to make. So I've already manifested my friends that kick ass. I told y'all about that, about my fighter friends, and I'm going to link up with them soon. The other friendship that I want to manifest is other women that own businesses that want to connect and that want to hold space for larger groups of women, which is coming along the way. But I will tell you that one thing I learned about a love list, particularly when it comes to dating and relationships, is that, and this is like a side note, y'all. So when you're doing a love list and you're writing out the things that you want, okay, you want to also be very clear about what your non-negotiables are. So the things that you actually absolutely insist on. And I find that this is important because we're dealing with a list of things. So somewhere in that list, in that realm, you want to have a sense of priority about what is the most important. Because if you don't have priorities about what is the most important aspect of what it is you are desiring, then you could end up compromising. So for example, if I'm manifesting elevated sisters who are business owners, and I failed to mention that when we get together, we only talk about positive things, so we don't gossip and we don't bash other people, then I could accidentally end up with a wealthy sister friend that also gossips a lot, right, about other people. And that would be the antithesis of an elevated sisterhood. So, that is another thing that I actually want to talk about in this video. So don't forget, make sure that you prioritize, like, what are your non-negotiables, because you don't want to forget. Okay. So that actually brings me to my next topic, my next point, which is when you start to elevate your identity, you're naturally going to start to funnel off old relationships that are no longer in vibrational resonance with the identity that you presently hold. So how can I describe this? How can I describe this in a fresh way for you all? So one of the things, let's say I no longer come around for certain crowds and certain things anymore because it just is no longer a part of my identity. Okay? It's going to naturally happen, and it's uncomfortable when you start to lose friends. In my life, I have had to leave many friends behind, or people that I thought were my friends, but when I really needed them, I mean, like when my life was in impending situations, these people were not here for me during one of the most integral times of my life. I had to do what was very challenging of outgrowing them, because as you elevate, we're talking about height here. We're not talking about being better than anyone. We are talking about expanding, which is a natural it is a natural symptom of elevation. People that are in frequencies where they have a lot of fear in them, or they speak to themselves in ways that are affirmative of self-doubt, or they complain about their reality when in actuality they are super blessed. If you keep yourself around those old relationships, you are going to end up muddling your frequency. So frequency itself is a harmonic thing. Frequency, what is the formula for frequency? Frequency's formula has to do with speed, and it has to do with height. So the higher your frequency is, the faster you're going to vibrate, right? So if you think about like a wave that is oscillating, let's say that you are listening to, let's just keep it simple. We're talking about listening to a song where the rhythm is like kind of like this, right? And when you are in harmony, and when you are in your life and your rhythm is like this, you're moving and you are dancing and you are finding your way through life rhythmically, and things are happening naturally, they're happening smoothly. You are getting the opportunities. When you put your intentions into those things, you are finding it easy to have focus and to be devoted to the things in which you desire. So your frequency is popping, right? The waves and the harmony in which you approach life is progressive. But what happens is when you are around people that complain and that always see the glass as half empty, and you bring your frequency around them, what it does is it starts to slow down your frequency. And what that is going to do is it's going to take you longer to manifest the things that you want and to step into alignment with the things that you want. So you have to be very careful about the whole concept and the idea of feeling like you have to save people or take people along. Because at the end of the day, if you are growing and you are expanding and you're elevating in your lifestyle and in your frequency, and even if it's just the way that you think about life and the way that you approach life, when you holding a space of knowing that ultimately the external desires of whatever it is you are manifesting are actually going to show up, you are just training your vibration and your identity, which we have talked about in previous videos. You're training yourself, right? And getting disrupted by these people can really set you back light years. So you want to be very clear about, do you identify with these types of relationships? Because as you grow and as you expand, there are people that are going to say that they want the same thing as you out of life. And what is actually going to end up looking like is you're going to end up dragging them through life. And that is going to weigh you down, and it can be very healthy. Because listen, at the end of the day, we all have to give people the dignity of making their own choices. You can't force people to end the toxic relationships that are holding them back, to disrupt the patterns that they choose to be addicted to on any level. You cannot disrupt other people's karma for them. You can't be an actual friend in an elevated sisterhood and always be coaching them and always be doing that. So just be careful about how much energy you give to these relationships that you know you are outgrowing, and give yourself permission to outgrow. You can watch a video on boundaries for setting healthy boundaries in relationships with other people. And those things would be super helpful for you to solidify your identity, your self concept, and your self worth. So the sisterhood wound, okay, well, before we talk about that, another thing that I want to talk about when it comes to elevating your frequency is being a blessing to others. Being a blessing to others and blessing the space and blessing the vibration of the other women around you makes you a source point for elevated sisterhoods. So I'll give you an example. Okay, the other day I went into a brand new studio because I'm in the process of exploring my own personal movement practice because based on the boundaries that I've set with myself, I am now pouring into myself in ways in which I am spending more time with my own movement, my own dance practice, and in my body. As I have lost 10 pounds since the fall, y'all. So check out the Mind Body Soul 14-day reset program for healthy nutrition and a harmonious, intuitively based nutritional lifestyle. You can check that course out on yams.co. But so I went into this new pole studio the other day, and the energy when I got there was it was kind of heavy. It was a little heavy, and I wasn't greeted with like this bright and this bubbly smile, right? And that's all I'll say about that. So of course I came in my high vibration, my light. I'm excited to get into it, to dance. I'm ready to put on my heels and and to do the damn thing. So the energy was like a little weird. It was a little strange when I got there. There were two women there. The woman that greeted me, she just had like this heavy, dense energy on her. And the other girl was just like quiet. You could tell she was kind of exhausted a little bit from her day, and she was doing her own thing. And then, I just got into it because I come to do what I gotta do. We came to move, so that's what I'm all about. And I had the music, I had the speaker, so it's all good and gravy once I get on that music tip. So I started moving. And there wasn't really there wasn't a whole lot of interaction. It wasn't like a super welcoming experience. I'll put it that way. So I started moving a little bit, and then the other girl, she finally, started moving. And as she started to move, and she was obviously practicing a routine for something, I was still in my own zone, doing my own thing, but I stopped, took a moment to witness what she was doing in her world, and I just did one of these. And I did one of these. And that was it. And you could see the energy shift on her. She started to smile. The energy in the room started to lighten because what I did was I blessed her, and I put positive vibrations out there in the form of acknowledgement, in the form of a compliment. And so when you are blessing the space that you are in, you are blessing people, you are acknowledging them in just the simplest of ways. Like, I'm not always on hype woman mode. When I'm around my students, I'm in hype woman mode. But usually I am like a grounded type of encourager. And in that moment, I was just like, that's all it took. And the whole mood lightened. And what that does is it shifts the flow of the energy in the space. It opens up space for connection, and it starts to lighten the energy, open the energy, and brighten the vibes. So when you are blessing others with your positive vibration in very small ways, you are actually contributing to so much positive karma that comes back to you. Okay. So the sisterhood wound wound is something that is so deep inside of the feminine collective conscious that when we are, working through trying to find these healthy relationships, we can really get set back by the wounds of the collective psyche, which is jealousy, it's casting the evil eye upon other people, it is distrusting other women and feeling uneasy about who you are around, and talking and gossiping. And this is deep in the collective conscious for a number of things. Number one, women had to survive. And so if a woman saw another woman as a threat to her, that is actually sourced from your actual genetics and your biology trying to help you to survive. So subconsciously, in our subconscious makeup, which is stored inside of our DNA, we are automatically going to be silently, we can sometimes silently battle with other women. And you can watch the video, How to Deal with Haters, where I talk a little bit more about how those things can manifest. Okay, so that is a form of a sisterhood wound when another woman is jealous of what another woman has or feels like she cannot trust a woman. So, one of the things that has helped me with this wound, because I have actually been the recipient of this wound where women have been jealous of me, or they will try to talk about me or pick on me or try to hold me back from other opportunities because I'm just shining. It just is what it is. I'm shining. Main character energy. Check out the video on main character energy. I'll try to remember to link these below. And these are forms of sisterhood wounds. So number one, they're based on subconscious DNA programming, which is also helps us to survive. This is how, we have been able to survive over centuries, the best of the best. Okay. It is a part of the collective consciousness, survival consciousness, animal brain consciousness that we have as women, sabotaging other women's pursuits because there was more scarcity back in the day. Okay. It's only recent history where women are becoming millionaires and, running these queendoms and these empires. It's only in recent history, if you really think about how old we are biologically speaking and how ancient the DNA that we carry is. The other reason for the sisterhood wound comes from patriarchy and how patriarchy, more well known, has botched the way that we perceive ourselves, number one. So we automatically, look in the mirror. An unhealed woman automatically looks in the mirror and she automatically reverts to finding things about herself that she does not like. Okay. It's just a habit because we have internalized patriarchy's perception of what a woman should look like for as long as I can remember. For centuries now, we have been trying to wear corsets and change our hair and do this, that, and the third, all for the male gaze. And what this does is it has breeded contempt amongst ourselves, and it has spread like a disease in the feminine consciousness. And this is actually has set us back. It is actually setting us back because we are succumbing to these programs through these screens, and by plugging into the wrong things. Check out the 14 14-day mind body soul reset course. It will reset you mentally, physically, and spiritually so that you are not being possessed by these low vibrational patterns. It's a very powerful course that I've been doing in my personal worlds for over a decade now. Okay, so this patriarchal influence is so deeply seated within us that now we cast that upon other women in the form of shade. Okay, and in the form of the evil eye, because we automatically think that these are the standards. We look at ourselves in that way. Another example of a wound is when you are constantly needing to put your energy and your encouragement into everything except for yourself, where you will show up and you will slave over another woman's business or idea and contribute and show up and give and give and give of yourself. and not realize that you too are also worthy of that same thing. Because you are afraid to look at yourself, and because you are afraid, or there's a block between your self-worth and, between yourself and your self-worth, you're not willing to encourage yourself or to have positive self-talk. You would rather just ignore yourself and place all of that positive energy and shine on someone else, just so that you don't have to have the spotlight on the shadowy aspects of yourself that you are trying to avoid. So that is another form of a sisterhood wound. And so we want to be able to break through these things. And elevated sisterhood, you know that you are a part of an elevated sisterhood when you are around other women that give you compliments, that, hype you up, or not necessarily hype you up, but speak positive, and speak positive energy and speak life into you. Okay. So, as women, we have come a long ways, and there are a lot of resources on feminine energy that is available to us now, but nothing can compare to really being in person and in the presence of other women, and really doing that group inner work and having the accountability that occurs when you are in friendships, excuse me, and when you are in sacred communities that are founded and grounded on the idea of becoming healthier, whole, and better vibrations, expressions of yourself. So these are irreplaceable. Okay, these are irreplaceable, and you want to program yourself to know that you are worthy and that you have the value. So if you are looking for an elevated sisterhood, please join us in Cape Cod. We are so excited to have this experience. And you can also check out the Goddess Mystery Academy, where we are growing every day. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please drop a heart below if you watched all the way to the end. And I will see you in the next one. One love. Mwah.